Okay, hello everyone. This is Sharonda, and this is my podcast as well as my YouTube channel, Motherland. Today is January the 16th, which is a Tuesday, and I decided to change the title of this podcast to Motherland because I was going to try to do cultures all around the world. But I said, you know what? I think I'm going to just focus on the motherland because that's where my curiosity lies. And I think it's a lot of history a part of. Okay. Um, so what prompted me to start developing a interest or a thirst for knowledge in terms of the motherland? Well, I think most of us will want to know the history, the comings about of us as a person, individualistically, as well as a people, more on a cultural sense of the matter. We all will want to feel that way. So I did this by way of getting one of those ancestry DNA tests and a couple of years back. And it prompted me to bring about this curiosity. Now, do I feel as though this test is 100% accurate? I'm not going to sit here and say that is 100% truthful. I have a little bit I have my reservations, I should say, about the accuracy of the test. I honestly do. There are several different tests out there. It depends on what you can afford. Some of them goes up into the hundreds, even close to thousands of dollars in order to get a more extensive, accurate test. So I can only hypothesize as to what the actual comings of the being as me as a person. Um, do I believe that all of us as Black Americans or African Americans or whatever you want to refer to yourself as, people of color on a darker scale, come from the motherland? And if we all was a part of the transatlantic slave trade, I think you may not necessarily been directly involved culturally wise. I mean, it could very well been that you are by way of um some form of fashion connected to this transatlantic slave trade that occurred some hundreds of years ago. I honestly feel as though these lands was discovered, and what do I mean by these lands? I mean the North America was discovered by people from the motherland some time ago. However, history would tell us to the contrary, but if you go and dig deeper, you have history that would say otherwise. So that's what I believe. Okay. Now I don't want to get anybody step on anybody's toes or make anybody upset, angry, mad. A lot of things that you've been told is simply not the truth. Sorry, it's just simply not. These lands was discovered some time ago, way prior to, and once God has given you that inclination, He will let you know as such. It's nothing to argue about. So, in essence, because of me getting this DNA test on my background, my ancestry, um, and doing a little research, a lot of the information is erroneous. Um it's not uniform or standard. Because I've been told that during the transatlantic slave trade, I think many of us has been told that a lot of those slaves came from West Africa, as we would know West Africa now in this time in existence. But when I began to do some more research, I come to find that it mentioned that most of the people that come from the slave trade come from South Central Africa, which will be the Republic of Congo, around that area. And most of those individuals was taken to the Caribbeans as well as to South America. And that most of those people that were in the slave trade was taken to those countries. apart from North America. So who's to say what is uniform and what is relevant and what is what? That's why I say a lot of it is based on the mind. Whatever you choose to accept, then okay, then that's what it would be. So if you choose to think that you're a slave and not worthy of it, then that's what it's going to be. Because it's countless amount of things that transpire in history, and who knows? Okay. So I am going to focus on one of the heritage that was mentioned in my DNA test that I found, which was an empire by the name of Mali. It's a country in Africa that I just come to know about the last few years. Mali, Mali, which was a very powerful country in Africa. The empire of Mali was more powerful than any other countries in Africa. That is what I'm coming in the research that I've gathered over the last couple of years. Because they had their own it was a stronghold, and it was a strong empire, and they was far advanced, and they succeeded a lot of their counterparts in other surrounding areas and countries and things of that nature. So that is something that has come to me to know. Now, in gathering my DNA summary, most of the DNA is comparable to Nigeria and Cameroon, is what it mentions. And there are some other European background that were found in my DNA as well, but it's less than 10% to say the least. Okay. So we're going to proceed with speaking about Mali. And it goes over some information in terms of Mali, where it mentions that it's a lot of rich history in the empire of Mali. I'm not going to go too far into depth with this because of copyright and infringement concerns, but it was a very powerful country. That's the only way I can put it. Now is this in terms of the power of the mind, meaning is this a way of bringing about encouragement to make you feel good and feel some type of way? But who's to say? So I'm on Wikipedia, and it mentions about Mali, which is a country in West Africa. It's the 8th largest country in Africa, with the area of about 1,240,000 square kilometers. The population of Mali is 21.9 million. 67% of its population was estimated to be under 25 in 2017, with the capital and the largest city of Bamako. The sovereign state of Mali consists of 8 regions, and it borders on the north reach deep into the middle of the Sahara deserts. So Mali's country centers on agriculture and mining. One of Mali's most prominent natural resources is gold, and the country is the 3rd largest producer of gold of the African continent. It also exports salt. So it's a very powerful, extremely powerful and wealthy country within the West African empires that are controlled trans-Saharan trade. The Ghana Empire, the Mali Empire, and the Soga Empire. So it's one of the 3 most powerful and wealthy empires in West Africa. At its peak in 1300, the Mali Empire was the wealthiest country in Africa, covering an average about twice the size of modern-day France and stretched to the west coast of the continent. Mali was also one of the wealthiest countries on the earth, and its emperor at its zenith Mansa Musa is believed to be possibly the wealthiest individual in history. Besides being an economic powerhouse, medieval Mali was a center of Islam, culture, and knowledge, with Timbuktu becoming a renowned place of learning with its university, one of the oldest in the world, still active. The expanding Songhai Empire observed the empire in 1468, followed by a Moroccan army which defeated the Songhai in 1591. The Moroccan colonists established a new ruling class, the Arma, who after 1631 became virtually independent of Morocco. In the late 19th century, during the scramble for Africa, France seized control of Mali, making it part of French Sudan. French Sudan, also known as the Sudanese Republic, joined with Senegal in 1959, achieving independence in 1960 as the Mali Federation. Shortly thereafter, following Senegal's withdrawal from the Federation, the Sudanese Republic discovered or declared itself the independent Republic of Mali. After a long period of one-party rule, a coup in 1991 led to the writing of a new constitution and the establishment as a democratic multi-party state. So that's just to give you a brief synopsis. I'm not going to go too much in depth in terms of this. My concern is to getting into more or less the culture of the people, the culture of this grand empire of Mali, as such. And so let's get a little bit more, because as we know, when we go and make a Wikipedia, a lot of the information can be very, 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 very extensive, very extensive. But it is it's a very, very massive, large country, and it's a lot of things that goes on, you know, with this country as to any other country, but it's a very powerful country. So I want to speak about the economy a little bit more. It mentions the Central Bank of West African States handles the financial affairs of Mali and additional members of the economic community of West African states. Mali is considered one of the poorest countries in the world. So now it goes on to speak about it being the poorest in the world. How ironic is that? The average worker annual salary is approximately 1,500 US dollars. So, getting back to what transpired, I think, once you have been put up and things have happened, and you allow the enemy to come in and you allow manipulation, psychology, and when the heart wants to feel for individuals, when the reciprocation is not afforded back to it, then and only then when the enemy comes in and still kill and destroy. And I think that's why you have a breaking down of a people, a culture as such, because of that lack of unity and support. Mali underwent economic reform beginning in 1988 by signing agreements with the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. During 1988 to 1996, Mali's government largely reformed public enterprises. Since the agreement, 16 enterprises were privatized, 12 partially privatized, and 20 liquidated. In 2005, the Malian government conceded a railroad company to the Savage Corporation. Two major companies, Sayada, then Telecommunications de Mali, so Telma, and the Cotton Ginning Company, CMDT, were expected to be privatized in 2008. Between 92 and 95, Mali implemented an economic adjustment program that resulted in economic growth and a reduction in financial imbalances. The program increased social and economic conditions and led to Mali joining the World Trade Organization in May 31st, 1995. Mali is also a member of the Organization for the harmonization of bureau laws in Africa. The gross domestic product has risen since. So in 2002, the GDP amounted to US 3.4 billion and increased to US 5.8 billion in 2005, which amounts to an approximate 17.6% annual growth rate. So as you can see, God will give you inclination about what transpired as a people in terms of the trade, slave trade, to equate to the money exchanges and equivalence in labor and commerce to now. So it's a reverse psychological sensibility. Agriculture. Mali's key industry is agriculture. Cotton is the country's largest crop export and is exported west throughout Senegal and Ivory Coast. During 2002, 620,000 tons of cotton were produced in Mali, but cotton prices declined significantly in 2003. In addition to cotton, Mali produces rice, millets, corn, vegetables, tobacco, and tree crops. Gold, livestock, and agriculture amounts to 80% of Mali's exports. 80% of Malian workers are employed in agriculture. 15% of Malian workers are employed in service sector. Seasonal variations led to regular temporary unemployment of agricultural workers. So we're going to get into mining. In 91, with the assistance of the International Development Association, Mali relaxed the enforcement of mining codes, which led to renewed foreign interest and investment in the mining industry. Gold is mined in the southern region, and Mali has the third highest gold production in Africa, after South Africa and Ghana. The emergence of gold as Mali's leading export product since 1999 has helped mitigate some of the negative impact of the cotton and Ivory Coast crisis. Other natural resources include kaolin, salt, phosphate, and limestone. Energy. Electricity and water are maintained by the Energy de Mali, EDM, and textiles are generated by Industrie Textile de Mali. Mali has made efficient use of hydroelectricity, consisting of over half of Mali's electrical power. In 2002, 700 GWh of hydroelectric power was produced in Mali. So it mentions that this company helps its Mali citizens. Only 55% of the cities have access to this electrical energy. So it just gives you a synopsis of how it is now. But I'm still wanting a little bit more information in terms of the languages and the actual cultures and the beliefs and education and health. So, but without further ado, I am going to go up and just touch bases on such topics, because essentially I want to get over with speaking about the people. So the ethnic groups that are in Mali. Mali's populations encompasses a number of sub-Saharan ethnic groups. The Bambara are by far the largest single ethnic group, making up 36.5% of the population. Collectively, the Bambara, the Senike, the Kosinoke, the Malinke, and part of the Mande group constitute 50% of Mali's population. Other significant groups are the Fula, the Batalek, the Songhai, and the Tuareg and Moor. In Mali, as well as Niger, the Moors are known as the Ashra, Arabs named after the Aswag region of the Sahara. They speak mainly Hassaniya Arabic, which is one of the region's varieties of Arabic. In the far north, there is a division between Berber descended Tuareg nomad populations and the darker skinned Bella Tamashek people due to the historical spread of slavery in the region. An estimated 800,000 people in Mali are descended from slaves. Slavery in Mali has been persistent for centuries. The Arabic population kept slaves well in the 20th century until slavery was suppressed by French authorities around the mid 20th centuries. There still persists certain hereditary servitude relationships, and according to some estimates, even today, approximately 200,000 Malians are still enslaved. So, I mentioned this before that I do believe as though a lot of these individuals were still slave and was under some type of oppression, enslaved by way of their own people. Mixed European and African descents of Muslims of Spanish, as well as some French, Irish, Italian, Portuguese origins live in Mali. They are known as Arma people. Now, there's something to take note of. Although Mali has enjoyed a reasonably good inter-ethnic relationship based on the long history of coexistence, some hereditary servitude and bondage relationship exists, as well as ethnic tension between settled Songhai and nomadic Tuaregs of the north. Due to the backlash against the northern population after independence, Mali is now in a situation where both groups complain about discrimination on the part of the other people. This conflict also plays a role in continuing northern Mali conflict, where there is a tension between both Tuaregs and the Malian government and the Tuaregs and radical Islamists who are trying to establish Sharia law. So I'm going to click on this here where it mentions about the Arma people. The reason why, because it just so happened my grandma's name is Arma. The Arma people are an ethnic group of the Middle Niger River Valley descended from Moroccan invaders of the 16th century. The name applied by other groups derived from the word Aruma. The Arma ethnicity is distinct from the 3.6 million Zarma people of Western Niger who predate the Moroccan invasion and speak the Zarma language, also known as the Saga or Sangye languages. Is what it has mentioned here. So you will begin to see a lot of this information once you begin to read it. You don't know, anybody can put stuff on here as such to mock and deceive you. That's exactly what taunted spirits are. So that's something that I wanted to bring up and get some information on in regards to what was revealed to me. Okay, so we're going to go here, the different languages that we have. It mentions about the Bambara. Languages is Bambara. So Bambara is a people as well as a language. 51.5% speaks that. Fula, 8.3%. Dogon, 6.6%. Soninke, 5.7%. Sangha. Okay, so it just goes on and on and on, and then it mentions about religion and things of that sort. So do we know a lot of this information to be correct? Not necessarily, the record keeping, as I have seen, in doing research in a massive place and land such as Africa, oftentimes you will find that it's not accurate. There's no accuracy into a lot of the record keeping. Okay. So All right, so we're going to go on to education. Public education in Mali is principal, provided free of charge and compulsory for 9 years between ages 7 and 16. The system encompasses 6 years of primary education beginning at the age of 7, followed by 6 years of secondary education. So it says Mali's actual primary school enrollment rate is low. So I mean, it just goes on and on. I'm not going to go into all of this information, because when you begin to probe and pry, then I get the phone calls just as I did right now, and then they want to, well, why you concerned about this and that? First of all, I don't need you to call me and ask me anything about why I'm doing or not doing, because the same time the energy that you put towards contacting me is the same energy you could be doing something else yourself. Okay. We have health. Mali faces numerous health challenges related to poverty, malnutrition, and inadequate hygiene and sanitation. That's what it has mentions here. So Mali's health and development indicators rank among the worst in the world. It mentions that the life expectancy at birth is estimated to be 53.6 years in 2012. In 2000, 62 to 65% of the population was estimated to have access to safe drinking water and only 69% to sanitation services of some kind. However, in 2001, the general government expenditures on health totaled about $4 per capita at the average exchange rate. Efforts has been made to improve nutrition, reduce associated health problems by encouraging women to make nutritious versions of local recipes. For example, the International Crops Research Institute for the Semi-Arid Tropics and the Aga Khan Foundation train women's groups to make a healthy and nutrition version of the traditional recipe that Dikwa, comprising peanut paste, honey, and millet or rice flour. The aim was to boost nutrition and livelihoods by producing a product that women could make and sell, which would be accepted by the local community because of its local heritage. Okay, now in watching this and looking at this, is that the most nutritious thing for somebody to take? Which is the paste and all this other stuff that they would show oftentimes on a lot of our here. Would you consider that to be up to standard or par? The muses, Malayan music traditions are derived from griots, as also known as keepers of memories. Malayan music is diverse and have several different genres. Some famous Malian influences in music are Koro, virtuoso musician, Tumani, the Abate, and Nagani, with the Basaku Kuyati, the virtuoso of the electric Jili Ngoni. So it has some influences. The literature through Mali's literature is less famous than its music. Mali also has one of the Africa's liveliest intellectual centers. Mali's literacy, I should say, literary tradition is passed mainly by word of mouth, with Jalis reciting or singing histories and stories known by heart. So who's to say about a lot of the information? The cuisines consist of cereal grains. Grains are generally prepared with sauces made with edible leaves, such as spinach and baobab, with tomato, peanut sauce, and maybe accompanied by pieces of grilled meat, typically chicken, mutton, beef, and goat. That's what it has here. So who's to say what a lot of the histories and other places are? So that's when I began to even wonder and question about, okay, did a lot of the things that transpire in terms of the transatlantic slave trade, we got pictures as such, but did a lot of these things actually occur? And what exactly is the accuracy and the literature and the information that you proceed to get? Okay. So it's all based on, to each his own. If you get out there and you start doing some research and you begin to see that a lot of the information is based on how receptive you are to it and what you accept as your reality. And if you believe as such, okay, this is what it will be. Okay. So I am going to conclude this episode on Motherland, speaking about the great empire of Mali. So again, if you have any questions in regards to Mali or any of the cultures and customs and countries within the motherland, well, you're more than welcome to comment in the comment section below. No inappropriate comments, questions, or suggestions. Until then, have a safe and wonderful day. Good day.